All right, welcome everyone. My name is Kurt. I'm a comic book colorist, and in this video, I'm going to be talking you guys through this cover for Barbaric Axe to Grind. Number 1, it was drawn by the great Darick Robertson, who actually showed up during the stream to chat while I was working on this. No pressure there. But this one actually started cool. I was going to, my thought process was to do a cool background with a warmer foreground for the two characters. But it was too much separation because, you know, he's meant to be pretty close to that big troll-looking guy there on the right. And so I end up shifting the blue underneath all of these colors in toward a little bit of a dark red. And so you'll see that when it happens. But I'm using that color underneath and letting just a little bit of it come through. The quote-unquote base colors, which you see me sort of painting on now. Someone in the stream asked what layer this was, if the blue was the base, but I guess it depends on how you want to name them. But what I'm doing here is not really light or shadow. I'm really just setting the base colors, and like I said, letting a little bit of that texture come through underneath, which it sort of ties all of the colors together a little bit, and a little bit when I shift that color to a warm color, it just intensifies all those warm colors even more. So I still end up with a slightly cooler background than the foreground, but it's not what I would call or what you would define as a cool color. It's just cooler than the foreground. And I also made sure playing around with saturation levels and trying to keep those higher on the two main foreground characters and a little bit less saturated on the background characters. So it's always, when I'm working, I'm always trying to set up, there's usually multiple different layers of contrast happening. So in this one, it's more about the saturation levels and the the color temperature than it is even value, because across the board the values are swing from pretty bright to pretty dark, and so what's creating most of the separation is just the color temperatures here mainly. But working across multiple layers like this really lets me edit anything at any point. I've sort of learned in my career to put I put a premium on making things easy to change. So if someone asks for something to be a little bit warmer, or a little bit cooler, or a little bit whatever, I don't have to re-render things, which is never any fun. So I try to avoid that at all costs. And by keeping your layers clean and separate, though, it's pretty easy to do. So I'm going to start with the rendering here, and most of the rendering on this is done with a brush that is technically a pencil. I've just learned to really enjoy it for actually rendering with, and so hopefully that's something that as you guys are watching this, you can learn that, you know, just because a brush says it's a pencil or it's a certain kind of brush, you know, you can learn to use it in a lot of different ways. Speaking of learning things, you guys know Skillshare, right? Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for everyone. I can't talk today. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for everyone interested in learning something new. In my own search to improve as a YouTuber, I found Marquez Brownlee's class called YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit with MKBHD. I'm a huge fan of his channel myself, and I found this to be an excellent resource in learning exactly what I was looking for, which is how a pro YouTuber handles videos from script to finish. Of course, there are thousands of classes on a huge range of subjects with curated lists of the top classes in all the major categories, so you can jump right into the best classes right at the start, and it's easy to find what you're looking for. You could pick up some new Procreate skills, learn more about Clip Studio. The first 1,000 people to use the link or my code ColorWithKurt will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare at the link in the description. So thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Learn some cool stuff and support this channel at the same time. Now back to the video. All right, there you go. Bills paid. So we're back to, we're rendering now. So I want to layer on top. I'm using a hard light layer. I really like the way that the colors in a hard light layer blend. with the colors below. To me, my brain works in hard light mode now, so it's pretty convenient. And but most of the colors that I'm choosing right now are just again slightly lighter versions of the base colors, and usually tinted a little bit toward whatever color the light source is, which in this case is sort of a yellowy orange. And when I'm coloring something, even if it's upside down, I don't know why I do this, but I tend to flip the canvas, and it makes it easier for me to make sense of it. You know, Darick's style here, it had a lot of like little ink flecks and like splatter around, and so I really wanted to keep the colors sort of loose and a little rough around the edges if you get close. But honestly, when you zoom out, you lose a lot of the what looks rough up close. Working on these things, at 100% zoom, is usually about as big as I like to get. I'm not really big on zooming too close. It's an easy way to get a little overwhelmed and overdo things, so I try to avoid that. I am always trying to get better at rendering faces. I'm 10 years in now, and there's still times that I wish that I was more confident in them. But what you're seeing here is just a levels adjustment that is lightening what's underneath, and I'm rendering on that levels adjustment on a mask. So that allows me to go in and allows for easy editability. And it's around this point that I realized that my cool colors in the background underneath all of those colors were sort of neutralizing my warm colors way more than I thought they were. So I shifted those underneath to a little bit of a warmer color, which sort of intensifies all the warms and warmed up the cool stuff. But there's still that difference between the cooler end of the warm colors and then the really warm colors on the main characters. But I've started using levels adjustments like this for any time that I have a lighting situation where the lighting is pretty close to a white light, and things are relatively local. To me, it just gives a really consistent appearance, and obviously it's a lot faster because you're not picking a ton of colors. The secret with that, though, is making sure that your color palette is sort of established already, because that is basically the equivalent of coloring with white. And so it does help to make sure that you've established that first. Here I'm going in on the character and adding a little bit of a darker tone, a bit more shadow, just to pull him forward a little bit, again, as the lead character. I didn't do really shadows, quote unquote, on a lot of this because so much of the shadows are in ink already, and so I didn't really want to fight that. Darick's intention there with his big with the ink areas on this. But this sort of falls in line with the way I usually teach color theory, is that if you think about it in terms of the background colors all being closer together and the foreground colors all being a little bit further apart, with brighter brights and darker darks, it's a simplification, but it's how my brain works, and it seems to work out okay. So there you go. Here's a really slow pan. You guys can soak up all the details. Be sure to check out the book from Vault Comics. And thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, click buttons, read the description, click more stuff. Just click buttons. I think that's the key. Just click some sort of button. Will make YouTube happy. Will make me happy. Really, that's the big takeaway here, is just to make sure you click a button. In all seriousness, though, thank you so much for watching as always. Thank you for your support, and I will see you guys in the next one.